just a bit outside. He tried the corner and missed.
Nobody brings you better baseball coverage on Selection Monday than Sports Talk. We have heard from all four coaches taking their teams into the postseason. Let's recap. Coach Gilmore, Coach Kingston, Coach Edwards, and Coach Bakich. And now, to put a bow on it all, we welcome a man who's been there, done that. Dogpiled in Omaha. That's right, dogpiled in Omaha. We welcome in Coach Jim Toman, just a bit outside. Welcome in, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great, Phil. Big day in college baseball. A lot of happy people, a lot of sad people, a lot of stories. We need to get into this. I'm sure you guys have talked about an awful lot of it. I'll give you my 2 cents, and then maybe we can ask you some questions later. How about that?
We can chop it up, as they say. Fire away.
Let's go. The whole year I've had Clemson at the top of the list, and for good reason. They were the only team hosting in the state this year. I think they got the number maybe 7 national seed.
6.
And going to Clemson as the 2 seed is Tim Corbin and Vandy. That'll be a little homecoming for Tim Corbin. And the 3 seed is Gary Gilmore, which I'm very happy for Gary to get into the tournament here in his last go-around. And I wouldn't be surprised to see them make a run at it because they can hit. And the Clemson Stadium these days, them balls are flying a little bit. And then the number 4 seed, as you know, is High Point, and they won the Big South. I was a little surprised that that Big South tournament was only 4 teams. But anyway, High Point won it, and Clemson's hosting the regional now for, your listeners that don't understand what a top 16 seed is or a top 8 seed. I mean, the 16 host sites are 1 through 16, and Clemson's a host site. But if you're in the top 8, that just means if you win your regional, that you'll also host a super regional. So that was big for Clemson. It's a big advantage to play at home. I believe in the history there's been like 70 or 75% of the home teams win regionals. So Clemson hasn't won one in a while. They have not been to Omaha in 12, 13 years. Be a good time for them to get going. But I like that regional right there because it's got the former Clemson coach and Tim Corbin coached with Jack Leggett, and Jack Leggett's in the dugout with Coach Bakich now at Clemson, and it's going to be. And then you got Coach Gilmore, a Hall of Famer. I mean, that's got a lot of really good coaches in that regional. So good to see that Gary Gilmore got in. South Carolina, they did what they needed to do in the SEC tournament. Boy, they had 2 one-run losses, I think, to LSU. They had a good run. I think they won 3 games there, and that solidified their position as they're going to get a bid. And I figured it would be a second seed, and they ended up getting a 2 seed and traveling up to NC State, where Coach Toman used to play and coach. And that place gave Coach Toman, believe it or not, 2 degrees. That place will give anyone degrees.
Yeah.
But in that regional will be NC State as the 1 seed. The Gamecocks are the 2 seed. Little surprising that JMU got in as the 3 seed, and then Bryant was the 4th seed, and they got the automatic bid because they won their conference. But when we're talking about South Carolina this past week, at the SEC tournament, you have to talk about Funky Cole Messina, the catcher from the University of South Carolina. I'm sure you've said something about it already today, but he set a record for RBIs with 16 in the history of the SEC tournament. That's pretty dang big. He was on base, 680 on base percentage, 9 for 16, 9 runs, 4 home runs, 8 walks. So basically, sometimes, if you simplify baseball and your All-Americans start to hit, guess what? You score runs and you win. Earlier in the year, Messina and Petrie weren't hitting that well. They start hitting, and all of a sudden the Gamecocks show some life at the end of the year after losing their final 6 games in the regular season. And them two guys start hitting, and all of a sudden, they have some life left in them. So it'll be fun watching that. The Wolfpack is, it gave me 2 degrees, and South Carolina's a 2 seed. But that, it's a nice regional. It's not the hardest regional in the country. I'd love to go to it, but I think I got to drive up to Pittsburgh and eat some of that Pittsburgh pizza and visit Buffo, the world's strongest clown. That's my brother up there, and I'm going to a little reunion for football up there.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah, that's my brother. Look him up, Buffo, the world's strongest clown.
Okay. I'm not surprised. I'm sure. Not surprised you're related.
There you go. And at one point he had bigger arms than me, but he doesn't have them anymore. He's a little bit older.
Yeah.
And on my sheet here, I had, I kind of put how teams are doing in order, and I have Charleston as the 3rd team in the state. And meanwhile, unfortunately, they didn't get in. They lost to UNC Wilmington in the CA championship game. I think they lost 6-4. They had won the regular season 21-5. Them and UNCW were head-and-head all year long and both very consistent. And obviously, I'm a University of South Carolina. I'm a South Carolina guy. I want to see as many programs in the state do well. But, I thought Charleston was in. I even had 1, 2, 3, 4 next to their name, and I thought they were going to get in as a 3 seed, and it didn't happen. I think they were one of the first 4 out. The RPI was okay at 42. They ended up 41-14. I think, the committee can look at a lot of different things, and the only thing they can get Charleston on is their non-conference schedule was 177, and they only won 3 or 4 quad 1 games. But other than that, you're talking about 41-14. They won like 25 of their last 30 games or something. They were hot at the end.
No, 23-5. They went 23-5 last half of the season.
Yeah, and then the RPI is 42. I think the committee just ran out of teams to put in. There was 3 or 4 in there that I didn't think were getting in, and for one reason or not, they thought that them other teams deserved to be over Charleston. I feel bad. I worked for a year with Chad, and he was awful nice to me, and their pitching coach, Will Dorton, really good pitching coach. So I feel bad for them guys. Hopefully, them players there will just play with a chip on their shoulder next year and win the conference. And, when you put it up to a committee and sometimes they haven't seen you play a whole lot, things like that happen. I had 3 40-win teams at Liberty, and we only got 1 at large bid out of that. And we didn't get the chance. It's not day in and day out that you're playing top 25 schools like in the SEC, so you get that built-in good strength of schedule. In these mid-majors, your strength of schedule usually isn't that good. But anyway, I would leave that on a positive note that Chad Holbrook had a great year. Charleston had a great year. I mean, you're going to sign for 41-14 and winning the regular season 21-5 record. They have nothing to hang their head about. Got Wofford up here because they won their tourney. They're a 3 seed. They're going to Chapel Hill in that tournament. UNC is the 1 seed. They'll play Long Island, and Wofford gets a chance in the first round to make a name for themselves because they get to play LSU, I believe. I think that's how it works.
Yes, sir.
LSU was struggling early in the year, and they got hot late, and old Tommy Tanks. I wish they would have sent them guys to the NC State Regional. That would have been fun to watch them play them. But great season for Wofford. They won the Southern Tourney. They only had like 1 quad 1 wins, and their non-conference schedule was 224. But in them tournaments, all you have to do is win the tournament, and you get that. He's automatic qualifiers, and they beat Samford who was 36-23 this year. So they're Wofford has over 40 wins, 46 in the RPI, 3 seed, and they get to go up to Chapel Hill. As we talked about, Coastal is in 36 RPI, 34-23. They're in a tough regional. I think Clemson, High Point, Coastal, and Vandy. It's a pretty darn good regional for me. I didn't think they were going to quite get in because I was worried about their finish in the Sun Belt. But they did just enough to get in. Their RPI is nice at 36. And, I'm good friends with Gary Gilmore, so I want to see him do great. And I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't make a run for Gary Gilmore there at Clemson. So they're the underdog there, but watch them as the dark horse. That could be a surprise. USC Upstate finished their season 36-24. They did beat Charleston Southern and Presbyterian in the Big South tournament, but they lost twice to High Point, and High Point ended up getting the automatic bid. But USC Upstate ended up with 36 wins. A nice year for them. You look at Charleston Southern, RPI 195. They were 12-12 in the conference. They ended up the year losing to High Point and USC Upstate in the tourney, and the RPI finished at 195. The Citadel ended up 3-18 Southern Conference play, 231 RPI. So it was a rough year for the Citadel. Coach School has had a long career at East Tennessee State and Citadel. He stepped down. That job is open currently in the Citadel. I'm sure they'll find another good coach to coach over there. Winthrop, as we told you last week, their season was over last week, and Tom Reginas, another good friend, stepped down. I wouldn't doubt that he wouldn't go out and get another job because he's not that old. But the season didn't go as planned. 19-29-1. They're only 8-15 in the league, and their RPI was 240. And then PC last week was good news where they won the regular season in the Big South. So congratulations to Coach Pollock, but they lost to Charleston Southern and Upstate in the Big South tournament. They finished 29-27. RPI ended up being high, so their season is over. So notes, I'd like to say congratulations on Coach Hucks over there. I don't know who else won in the state at South Carolina, but I know Coach Hucks, so I wanted to give a shout-out to him at Lexington. They seem to always win, and he's former Gamecock guy. Good catcher. I always like catchers that are coaches because Norm Toman used to be a catcher one day. But anyway, state champs for Coach Hucks at Lexington. So that's about it. That's what I have. I don't know what you guys have been talking about other than I'm sure you've talked about Charleston not getting in and a couple other teams that might have should have got in, but going to be a lot of good baseball all over the country happening on Friday.
Absolutely. And I misspoke at the outset. I need to correct. You did not dogpile in Omaha with the Gamecocks. You were already gone back by then. I had to go back and check my numbers. But you did dog.
Yeah, I didn't dogpile anyway. If I did, I would have smothered someone out there. But we lost in the national championship game. We went 3 years in a row when I was there in 2002, 3, and 4. And in 2002, we lost to Augie Garrido in Texas. And then the next 2 years, we went there, but we lost. And then the guys that won it all with Coach Tanner, I helped recruit a lot of them guys, but I didn't get to go out there with them. But I kind of felt part of it. In fact, Coach Tanner sent me a ring for that first one.
There you go.
Because I had signed a lot of their guys.
Well, and back when y'all
not only I was a recruiting guru like you still are. Now you're more of a football recruiting guru, and some people said at one point I was a recruiting guru, but I think that's a title reserved for Phil Kornbluth.
I'll pass that on to somebody else these days. But back then, of course, it was a one-game showdown for the national championship when y'all played Texas that time. It wasn't the best 2 out of 3.
That that was the first year. That was the last year that they had a one-game deal, and now they have best 2 out of 3. So it would have been interesting if we had a chance to play a couple more games, and maybe we would have won it. But they beat us. We had a chance in about the 7th, 8th inning. I think I got Steve Pierce thrown out at the plate, and then we gave up a 4 spot, and they ended up beating us pretty good. But
as I recall, they had a guy named Street coming out of the bullpen, did they not? Who was pretty darn good.
Yeah, he was okay. Yeah, he was. I think he was the best pitcher in the country that year.
Yeah.
And then pitching in the big league. So yeah, it was hard to hit him.
Yeah, it was.
Sure, and they brought him in that game too.
All right, listen. We got about a minute. Honest question, honest answer here. Can you, of the 4 teams in the state, in the tournament, can you see anybody getting to Omaha? Who do you think's got the best shot to get to Omaha of the 4, in your opinion?
Well, Clemson. They've had the most consistent year. You don't know what exactly you're going to get out of South Carolina. They've been really good, and they've been not so good, okay? Their defense has been a little bit down. But I'll tell you what, with Messina getting hot and Petrie hitting the ball, they're dangerous offensively too. And then, Wofford's a good program, but they're in it with the big boys now. I don't see them getting by LSU and North Carolina. And then, Coastal Carolina, I don't think they're done because that ball flies a little bit at Clemson. And if they get hot, you never know with Jerry Gilmore coach team. And they got a lot to play for. It's his last year go around, and they're going to want to do it for the old ballpark or the old ball coach. So, but you got to go with the odds are that if anyone's going to get to Omaha, the one that should have the best route is Clemson because they're hosting.
Yeah,
and they'll host the Super Regional as well.
And they'll get their winner.
They got to play well.
If they get it,
I've seen a lot of strange things happen.
Yeah, whoever comes out of that regional get the regional winner out of Oklahoma State. If it's Clemson, they'll host in a super regional. All right, Coach. Great stuff as always.
Wait a minute. I have to ask. I have to ask, Coach, before we turn him loose.
Sorry.
I found an article from several years ago about your brother. When did Tom start learning to juggle chainsaws?
Yeah, well, how about this? Buffalo the Clown, his name was Tommy Toman, 6th-round draft pick out of high school by the Chicago White Sox, left center fielder, really good athlete. Like my son Tucker, he signed and he didn't go to college. He went straight into pro ball, and he played 6 years. He got married on the Houston Astros minor league park to his high school teacher after 6 years.
Whoa.
And
he married his high school teacher? He married his high school teacher?
6 years after playing pro ball, they got married in his Houston Astros uniform on the field. He was still playing minor league baseball, but he was a little older.
But wait a second, you just said he married his high school teacher.
Yeah, well, she taught him math, and 6 years later they got married.
That just sounds kind of weird to me. I'm sorry, I don't know that I'd marry any of my high school teachers.
Well, I know, but it isn't like he married her when he was 18. He was 24.
But she was like, what, 40? All right, go ahead.
No, she looked pretty good. She was about 35. But anyway, I'm going to visit Buffalo right now, and we go up there. We dress up like pilgrims and Indians in a teepee at his house, so he's a little bit different.
Yeah.
But when he was playing baseball, all of a sudden everyone thought he looked like an Indian, and meanwhile we're Italian. And he built a teepee, and he started doing these crazy things with Indians. And all of a sudden, he started working at the school for the blind. Then he started doing birthday parties. And the guy ended up at the White House. He can juggle 8 balls. He rips phone books in half. He tried to set the Guinness Book World Record with the lead bowling balls, but they kept hitting his feet. So he decided not to do that.
Oof.
He walked on stilts, skilts. I mean, the guy was crazy, but he was the number one. I'm talking he went to the White House to work, and he did some adult parties and a lot of children parties. So he had a lot of talent, put it that way.
Amazing.
But, yeah, he's semi-retired now. I'm getting ready to go up there and say hello to him. And he's still married to his beautiful wife, Nancy, same teacher. But I got a lot of good stories in my family. Hey,
I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
I'm sure you do, yeah.
Some famous people in this family.
All right.
Anyway.
Well, listen, I'm going to be in Raleigh this week, so I'll be looking for anything related to your career, around campus. So.
You know what? I'm probably on the board there. I donated something to them, so I'm probably up on one of them walls, my plaque or something. But you can find a lot of things out about me if you go to Emilio's Italian restaurant.
I'm going. That's where I'm going. Emilio's. Okay, I was looking. That's going to be one of my stops. Emilio's Italian restaurant. That sounds like a winner.
Emilio. Hey, and there's a good hot dog place called Clues Coney Island up there. It's pretty darn good.
Why don't you come back for the regional? We'll watch it together.
I wanted to, but I got this little reunion. I told these guys I'd go, and I want to go up to see Buffo the Clown and his wife, and I got to see my parents' gravesite and say hello to them. And then I got to drive to Florida and see my son Tucker play, and then I got to go to Mississippi and see the Italian part of the family for alumni. Could run into a few mafia people there, so I got to better watch myself on that. But I'm gonna be driving around a lot. In the meantime, I'm looking for a job. So if there's any jobs open, just let me know.
There's a few of them out there. Besides the ones here in the state, I saw where I think Youngstown State came open, and I think the Dirtbags job came open out in California. And
I saw that.
Yeah, there's some jobs open out there. So
there's a lot open. UNCG might be open. Houston Christian, Missouri State, Minnesota, Florida Southern, the Citadel, Winthrop, Pacific, South Florida, Francis Marion. The big guy's bound to get one of them.
I think the big guy's been doing some research. I think you've been doing.
You got that right.
Been doing some. Well, you always got a job here on Sports Talk, okay?
I researched for your show.
Yep.
And I researched for college baseball jobs open for the big guys.
There you go. Well, you got a job here. I mean, it doesn't pay like those baseball jobs pay, but you still got a job here.
Yeah, but I enjoy it. I enjoy talking with you guys. So.
Oh, we love it. We love it. And we'll talk to you.
You enjoy.
We will talk to you next Monday.
All right, buddy.
Take care. Safe travels. Safe travels. Okay. Thank you. Coach Jim Toman just, I should say, way outside. Way.
There's a great story about
outside.
his brother.
I did not know that.
I found a story from 2017. His brother used to juggle bowling balls, hatchets, meat cleavers, and chainsaws.
Oh my gosh! Now with the chainsaws running,
if a guy eats fire, my guess is yes.
Oh my gosh! What a story! What a story!